What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So next week, Microsoft's big release Redfall will finally come out, and it's been a pretty rough run up to launch, and now an image has appeared online that somehow is just making the situation worse. But I do have some questions for this picture, and we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Microsoft, the CMA, and Nintendo actually getting pulled in here based on a new report that actually kind of calls out the Switch a bit. And we'll also be talking about Armored Core 6. We got a new trailer yesterday that had some awesome looking gameplay, as well as that release date. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's actually out today. Well, it launched last night, midnight Eastern time. So hopefully I've had a chance to play a couple of hours by the time this video is going live. However, we do have some information when it comes to the day one patch and then subsequent patches after that. You can see this posted up over on Twitter from the EA Star Wars account, who says, our first patch will arrive on launch day across all platforms, which, by the way, the Xbox Series X, that's where I bought it. The download for it was 134 gigabytes, I think. So excited for the day one patch to push it closer to 150 gigabyte mark. They say in the weeks ahead, we'll deploy patches that will fix bugs, improve performance, and add more accessibility features. Stay tuned for more updates. There was an article that was posted by Bloomberg. I believe Jason Schreier had this, and it mentioned that the overall development time for this game was roughly 3 years, and that's a pretty fast turnaround time for the game, even though it's a sequel, so they had kind of a foundation to pull from. That's still pretty quick, especially with a lot of it being attributed to remote work being successfully incorporated. But the idea of having all these patches to iron out bugs and performance issues is frustrating, because you figure they could have probably delayed it a little longer and just had it there ready to go day one with the download or on the disc. But how much of the game is actually on that disc as it is? It seems like we're just relying more and more on having the digital delivery for a lot of these games anyway. So, hey, what's a couple of patches to add on there to the 134 gigabyte game as it is? Also, we did get a look at games with gold from Xbox for the month of May, and it hasn't been great for games with gold for a long time, probably more than a year. But hey, we'll give them a shot for May. Let's see what they have here. Let's see, starting with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Hoa. Okay, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. It's available May 1st to the 31st. You know what? That is a good game. This is the one that was kind of the remaster from Aspyr, and if you've not played this, it was from the Nintendo 64, and it was pretty cool because at the time, there was a lot of excitement around pod racing with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, so they capitalized on it, made an entire game that is actually really fun. So, you know what? This is a pretty good offering here for games with gold just because of that game. Is it incredible, over the top, or even competitive with PlayStation Plus? No, not really, but it's a game I can recommend to you and is worth claiming, and that's more than I can say for, well, the past 12 months of offerings. So, hey, there you go. Step in the right direction. Oh, we also had a new Nintendo Switch online trial that was announced. You can see this from Nintendo of America posted up, where they say from May 1st, 10 a.m. Pacific to May 7th, you can download and try the full Cadence of Hyrule Crypt of the Necrodancer featuring the Legend of Zelda game at no additional cost. This, by the way, I think is a good move as we head into what's going to be a massive explosion of hype around the Legend of Zelda with Tears of the Kingdom. Why not have something here that is certainly a bit different than your traditional Zelda game, but I think is a really cool experience. And if you've been curious about it, yes, this is a good one to check out on the trial program. While it is leaning into the idea of rhythm and everything, you can turn that off technically and just play through it normally, and there's basically turns enemies will move as you do. So pretty cool game, definitely worth checking out, especially on this trial program. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Redfall, which Redfall will be out next week, actually May 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So it will be going live a little earlier. I have it preloaded already on the Xbox Series and on my PC. I'll check it out on both of them. I'm just honestly curious how it's going to feel at 30 on the Xbox Series X versus 60, 70, 80 frames or something on PC, depending on how it's optimized with de novo lurking in the background. But it has been a rough run up to launch with talks around always online, 60 FPS, your progression being kind of halted if you were joining someone else's game through co-op and they're the host, and it's just a lot of stuff working against Redfall right now. And we have this image that was posted up by Jez Corden over on Twitter, who says that it seems some Redfall retail copies have 60 FPS listed on the back and will come with a sticker noting it's not available for launch. All right, so I saw this and immediately it's like, this game just can't catch a break. But then as I looked at it a bit more, I started to get some questions for this this box art. All right, we'll say. First of all, the image started to circulate a lot and people weren't really able to track down exactly where it came from. And it does make sense for retail copies to start arriving now in different stores, whether in this case what's in the UK or anything like that, or in Europe, even in the US, as the game, while it's releasing on Tuesday, typically we would get games Thursday or Friday the week before just to make sure we have it in stock and we wouldn't break street date or anything there. But I do notice that the barcode is just gone. I don't know if the person just put a white square over it for some reason when they were editing the picture on their phone, right? And I also noticed that it has the 60 frames per second mark underneath that Xbox Series X logo, kind of underneath all the different things that are going on with the online single player, co-op, etc. I don't know if I've ever really seen that. And I was looking at a lot of my boxes that I have for the series, just seeing if I could find a 60 frames per second kind of note. And I wasn't able to, even in games that are. So let me know if you have an Xbox Series X retail box that has that 60 FPS note on the back. The sticker obviously is the thing that people are pointing at. 60 FPS performance mode not available at launch. And that would just to kind of even out the 60 FPS that's being named there at the bottom of the box. So I do kind of wonder if this is just someone at retail having a bit of fun, printing out a sticker and just kind of putting it up there with the 60 FPS performance mode, not available at launch. But I did also notice that it does mention Bethesda.net, which is required. So you have to sign into Bethesda.net to play the game, which I guess would coincide with the always online for this game. It's been rough in terms of PR for this game to just get to release day, which fortunately is coming up for it, because then we'll know if the game itself is actually good, because we've seen the IGN first stuff and there's been questions around just the person playing it there, and we hear about all of the bad publicity around some of the more technical details. But yeah, I'm curious to see if Arcane can pull through with this one and come up with a game that's, I don't know, mid to low 80s. Would that be successful for you with Redfall if they came out with a game that's at least decent overall critically? I think so, but hey, we'll get to next week and check it out. Like I said, I'll be playing it on a couple different platforms there, but it's just been rough, one after the other. Even if this image ended up being fake, it kind of had that effect of everyone going, there's Redfall messing up again before launch. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft, Activision Blizzard, the CMA, and actually even Nintendo. Now, we know the CMA did announce that they were blocking the deal in the UK, and that's sent Microsoft into a tantrum. It's been some wild stuff out there right now with Brad Smith, Bobby Kotick over at Activision Blizzard, even Phil Spencer talking about the future of Xbox, say, if the deal doesn't go through, which, by the way, it sounds like, yes, Xbox will still exist if this deal doesn't go through. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter that's just been kind of out there at times, but something that was kind of interesting in what was over a 450-page report from the CMA detailing really why they were blocking it, their findings and all this, Nintendo did come up, and it had to do with Call of Duty and that 10-year plan, which also kind of makes sense for what we've seen with the FTC, by the way. But we can see this posted up by Nintendo Life, who had the excerpt here from that report, where the CMA says Nintendo is not currently offer COD, or Call of Duty, and we have seen no evidence to suggest that its consoles would be technically capable of running a version of COD that is similar to those in Xbox and PlayStation in terms of quality gameplay, or quality of gameplay and content. So it is kind of vague here when it comes to quality of gameplay. Content aside, you can figure, all right, they'll just, let's be real, if at Activision Blizzard, they wouldn't even use an entire Ultra Blu-ray for the 100 gigabytes. They just gave you like a 70 megabyte file that basically was a launcher, then download the rest of it. They could do that with a cartridge on the Switch, so hey, have your SD cards ready. If Call of Duty shows up, it's going to fill it up on your... You might just have to have a SD card that would just be labeled Call of Duty, which seems like a great opportunity for marketing SD cards. It's Call of Duty to hold the whole thing. Kind of reminds me of when we got a memory card with Animal Crossing, and it was 59 blocks, and that's all you would use it for. But in this case, when it comes to the technical side of things with the game running, then they might have a bit of a case there. Could Activision Blizzard and Microsoft get Call of Duty running 60 frames per second and coming close to the resolution of the Xbox Series and the PS5? No, at least not in this iteration of the system. But could they have one come out that would at least be competent? I think they could. And if you look at the Xbox 360, it actually went on for quite a while through the Call of Duty iterations to where it was struggling badly, but they still got it on that Xbox 360 system, and the Switch is actually much more capable than the Xbox 360 with newer technology, more RAM, all those different things working in its favor. And if you look at the Activision Blizzard history, I mean, they were putting Call of Duty out all over the place on the Wii. There's actually several versions of it there. And in fact, if you play Black Ops, I believe, people are still using that and playing online right now. There's like entire third-party servers that are set up. When you modify your Wii, you can tap into it and people are still playing it. I will say I went back and looked at those when I did the Wii HDMI installation video, and the pointer controls are actually kind of cool. It's a very different sort of experience from using two sticks on like the PS5 or the Xbox Series controllers, and it does feel like you have just more control overall, be able to point, believe it or not, just the Wii remote and use the nunchuck for movement. But I think they'd be able to do it. The real question to me would be, can they get it done in time for the Switch's current life cycle? Because we assume that by next year, 2024, we'll at least have heard about Nintendo's next system. So does that mean a Call of Duty will still show up on the current Switch? Or would they move on to the next generation platform, say release a Call of Duty in 2025 holiday? Then they wouldn't be using that 125 million install base that they are really happy to advertise in front of regulatory bodies currently. So it does make sense that the CMA would ask a lot of questions. And it also makes sense why the FTC is trying to dig into that 10-year deal between Nintendo and Microsoft to see if it's all about cloud usage on the current Switch and a native version on the next one. But yeah, the Switch kind of getting called out a bit in that CMA report for just not being strong enough to run Call of Duty to them. Next up, let's talk about Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. And I was pretty excited when this got announced, even though there were rumors that were dating back a year or more that FromSoft was working on a new Armored Core game. It was still kind of hard to believe because it's never been a big seller for them, and it had been a while since we've had the last one, Armored Core. There was like Armored Core 5, and it was sort of like an expansion game, really standalone release for it. I remember specifically playing Armored Core 4 Answer on the PS3, and that was actually a lot of fun. We kind of used it as a test game in the store where we would fix these different systems, and I spent a lot of time just playing through like the first couple of levels on it. But dating back to the PS2, I did enjoy it there. And now seeing this in motion, by the way, with the new trailer, it looks great. And you can see some of it here with Armored Core 6. And the biggest thing I noticed is that it looks like, at least just from gameplay, we haven't actually played it yet, don't know the feel, but it looks like traditional Armored Core. And that might sound weird because you're thinking, well, yeah, it's Armored Core 6, of course it would. There were thoughts that maybe FromSoft would lean more into the Souls-like formula for this game. In fact, if you look at some of the Q&As with the developers that were going on from the media, they kept bringing up Souls games. Hey, is this going to be more Souls-like? How are you going to operate with difficulty, movement, the controls, all these different things, as if they were going to turn this into Elden Ring 2 or a new Dark Souls game or something. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like kind of the mech combat you would expect from that Armored Core 4 answer. Actually, a little bit more Armored Core 4. I remember going from the older Armored Core up to Armored Core 4 on the Xbox 360, and it felt faster without them going full Zone of the Enders on us. So it looks like there's still a lot of weightiness to it. You even have one core that has like the tank treads on it. So it is still trying to ground itself in some sort of reality, even though it's still just large robots basically jetting around, boosting, blowing things up. And there was also, as they had mentioned, a focus on more ranged combat. You see missiles, guns, all kinds of stuff happening, and very small amounts of melee combat, although the big whip that the one core had and slammed down, that was kind of cool too. So, hey, I'm looking forward to Armored Core 6. It's been a long time since I played an Armored Core game because we went so long without there being another iteration in the series, and I'm hoping this one does well. Although I kind of feel like people are going to buy it seeing the FromSoft name and just be incredibly confused as to what they're playing because they may have gone into it expecting a Souls game, but we can look forward to this one. It's coming out August 25th, as rumored before, so kind of expected there, but looking forward to playing this one later on this fall. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a game announcement that certainly came out of left field, and that's Inspector Gadget. Yeah, we're apparently going to have a new game in that franchise, and it's been a long time since one of these released. I remember myself the one on the Super Nintendo way back in the day. I remember renting it at one point, I think from Hollywood Video, but we have had an Inspector Gadget game on the PS1, and there was also one on the PS2, but I believe it was specific to Europe, if I'm not mistaken. However, we have a new one to look forward to, and you can see some of the art style here as we had full screenshots and all this released, and you know what? It's from Microids. I'm not personally expecting a lot out of this game. It's priced at $39.99, and it's set for a September 2023 release. This is on PC, PS4, PS5, Switch, no Xbox. I know, it's going to come up again. Xbox has been kind of missing out on some of these, again, out of left field announcement kind of games, but some of the features include a thrilling adventure where you play as a legendary Inspector Gadget and save Metro City from the grip of Dr. Claw, explore the iconic Metro City, complete all quests and challenges in solo mode, discover 16 fun mini-games inspired by the Inspector Gadget universe, have fun with family and friends in multiplayer mode, and enjoy the superb soundtrack. And looking at the game, it's clearly targeted towards a younger audience, but I mean, a lot of us grew up with kind of Inspector Gadget, whether you remember the movie or just the cartoon more fondly, I should say, like I do. So I'd be curious to check it out, but I'm not expecting anything that's super complex or over the top skill trees and these super deep side quests or anything. I'd go into it with more of a superficial surface level look at a game that should tap into that nostalgia with Inspector Gadget while having some fun in Metro City, and what'll probably be a nice little action adventure title that, yeah, maybe you can also play with the family. So, hey, kind of cool to see Inspector Gadget randomly get announced for later on this year. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you picking up Armored Core 6 when it releases? 17% say yes, getting it ASAP. 36% say maybe, depends on reviews. Then 47% say no, I'm not interested. So as much as I would like Armored Core 6 to do really well, I'm going to tell a lot of people who are not familiar with the series, look at reviews. Wait and see what people have to say about this game, specifically around the controls, maybe the overall structure of it, because it's not going to be a Souls-like game, and that's what people look at FromSoft and then immediately link them to, even though they've done stuff well before any of these Souls-like experiences took off. But Elden Ring, massive success for them, and the FromSoft name is, I mean, it has that aura to it right now. But Armored Core 6, I get it if you're someone who's been invested in the series even previously. You probably saw that trailer with the gameplay and you're like, this looks absolutely incredible. And that's one of the big reasons I'm looking forward to it. To me, this seems like the big, I don't want to say Elden Ring moment for the series, but certainly a moment where FromSoft really wants to push this franchise to the next level, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from King, who says, crazy how John goes from talking about the sequel to one of the best games ever made that comes out in a few weeks, to reviews for a fantastic Star Wars game, to bundle news about the next Final Fantasy coming in less than 2 months. 2023 has been quite a year for gamers, and it's not even halfway done. And I would agree. Right now, looking at 2023, again, we just completed basically 4 months of this year. There's still quite a ways to go, but if things work out kind of how we're figuring with something like Final Fantasy 16, Zelda, and Spider-Man 2, and Starfield, this might be one of the best years in gaming. And there's still a lot of stuff, I'll say, we don't know about yet, unless you honestly believe after Pikmin, Nintendo's packing it up for the year. That's it. We're just gonna see if Zelda can sell for us the rest of the way, and maybe we'll do DLC. They have some other stuff. So I think going forward, we're going to look back on this year as being one of the better years in games, and it's really fun to be in the present now with a lot of this stuff to look forward to. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's Redfall with that weird box art shot that popped up with the sticker? at the top. How are you feeling about Redfall, though, going into next week when it finally comes out? And then also, what about the CMA saying that the Switch couldn't run Call of Duty? Do you think that Microsoft and Activision Blizzard could figure that one out? And then Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. After that gameplay trailer and the release date reveal, how are you feeling right now with it? Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.